Hi, welcome to She Thrives with Rhonda Coleman Wandel, which is me. Today I'm sitting down with Jasmine Minor of ABC7, three-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, creator of the Rise Society. So excited to talk to Jasmine today. Let's get into it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. This is my first ever in studio.
Person.
Yes, in person recording.
I feel so blessed and I
Yes.
feel so privileged
Thank
to
you.
have broken this in for you. And what an amazing setup you've got, amazing team you've got, and obviously just an amazing podcast that you're doing. Yeah. It's
Thank
incredible.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited to get into your story. So you have so many wonderful accolades, three-time Emmy Award-winning journalist.
Yeah.
Your family is the one and only family who brought up three African-American girls in tennis.
Yeah.
And then went on to play D1 tennis. So that's really cool. And then your efforts now with Rise Society, a nonprofit organization that's to support girls in sports. And linking them to business. So we want to get into all of that today.
So many things. Even as you're saying that, I'm like, gosh, am I doing too much? Do I need to sit down, take a break?
That's the big question,
Yeah,
I think,
right?
with ambitious women. It's kind of like, am I doing too much?
Yeah, there's no such thing as balance, though. I will tell you that. I think that's total. I think it's just a total lie. I don't think we ever really balance. You know, sometimes you're 80-20, you're 50-50. And sometimes you're just zero, there's just no there. You know what I mean? It's just what it is.
Yes,
So, yeah.
yes, yep. I hear that. I hear you. So you grew up playing tennis.
I did. That was such a weird thing because neither of my parents, my father nor my mother, they played a little bit in high school, but they weren't, these superstar athletes necessarily or tennis players, right? And so my parents got married really young, and we would my older sister and I would spend our summers with our grandparents in Indianapolis. And there was this one high school in the summers that has 50-something tennis courts. I mean, an absurd amount of tennis courts for a high school. And so they had, tennis camp. And so she started, I started, and then it just became a thing. And then our little sister, Brienne, got dragged around to all these tennis tournaments over the years. And then she just kind of picked it up. But that's really what happened. I don't know if I don't know if our parents necessarily put us in this, purposely or intentionally. It was just something that we chose to do during the summer. But my parents, they had their one rule was whatever you do, could be ballet, chess, piano, math club, whatever. Whatever you pick, if you do it till its fullest. Give it 110%. And then if you just don't like it, then we can stop. We can find something else. But if you're going to do something, commit to it. And so we all end up committing to tennis. And that's how that got started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I definitely want to ask, how has tennis impacted your life professionally? The values, the skill set that you gained as a girl in sports. How did you bring that into the woman professionally?
So, I always say that, playing tennis was such a privilege. My parents worked very hard to be able to afford that kind of sport with such a high financial threshold at the level that we played at. They worked full time to make it happen for us. And I tell people, since I was 10, I was in a different state or different country every 2 weeks all year round. Right. And I remember us talking, I've been in houses that are mansions where you've got columns of gold. And then I've seen villages where there are, homes made out of mud. I've had the privilege of seeing the very top 0.5% of the world in terms of wealth, and also the poorest at the same time. And I think playing an international and global sport gives you that kind of access and exposure to different cultures, different languages, different backgrounds. And so I think that really helped develop my perspective of the world and the people around me.
Yes.
And also I think give me a sense of I want to make an impact on the others around me because I see what's happening, across the world. And so when I think about the skills that not just tennis, but just sports in general play, right? The confidence building, the self-esteem building, the discipline, the time management, right? Of how many, I don't know how many times I had to do homework or take a test on the plane or hotel. But I think the biggest lesson that I tell everybody that comes with any sport is you learn how to fail.
Yep.
A lot of people don't understand failure until they're an adult, kind of the college, right? Where maybe you don't get the job or you get fired for the first time or you didn't get into the school that you wanted or you're trying to chase some dream and you find yourself broke and sleeping in your car. I mean, on that grind, right? But as an athlete, you fail week after week. You pour your heart into the training and the development and the practices and the fitness and the nutrition and all the things that come. And then you go and you compete. And sometimes you're on top of the world. But other times it's terrible. And it's like, oh, I can't win a match here or I didn't get the championship or I didn't get the gold medal, whatever it is, right? And you have to know how to get back up. You have to know how to take critique. And you have to know how to say, what went wrong here? And how do I need to fix it? And I would say student athletes in general, we are so good at knowing how to fail. And I think that is such a vital skill to have in life overall. Because the truth is that it's very rare. I have yet to meet one person that has said, yeah, my life went exactly according to my plan. I don't think I've heard anyone. I don't care if you're talking sports, business, like literally anything, family, relationships. I've never heard someone tell me that.
Yep. So you learn early, whether you're completely conscious of this or not, you learn to appreciate the process and the journey and not so much the win or lose. Winning and losing, those definitions change for you.
They do.
Very early.
Yeah, they do. Well, you understand the value of a win and the value of a loss, right? Where I think sometimes when you first start off, success can be such a hyper focus, right? But what does that really mean to be successful, right? Is it winning an Emmy? Is it taking home a gold medal? Is it making a certain amount of money? Is it getting married? Whatever that is, right? And I think over the years, I had to learn what is my measure of success. When I was little and I was a competitive athlete, right? That was getting the trophy. That was it. That was how I measured myself, right? Now it's through the process and through what I am doing to build my career or build a brand or whatever else, am I making an impact on those around me? And to me, that's a different kind of success. I think Emmys are great. I think they're a great resume talker. It's cool to say you're an Emmy-winning journalist. I think that's awesome. But my Emmys sit on a shelf and collect dust. I don't carry them in my purse. They don't come with me everywhere. I don't when I leave this earth, they're not coming with me.
No.
Right? and so I think for me it's the story that I won the Emmy on. What kind of impact did that have?
Yes, which leads me to this question. What types of stories do you like to pursue in your work?
Yeah, I'm so specifically at ABC, I cover race and culture. And so I really look at stories where I can give people a platform that don't typically have one. You know, underserved communities, underprivileged communities, communities of color. I love telling those stories. But for me, I really try to do a thorough job in thinking about, am I telling this story in a way that is building something up? And what I mean by that is usually when you hear about stories of underserved communities or really just communities of color, take that. Usually it's told from a lens of tragedy and trauma. I mean, that's usually the process, right?
Yes.
That's when you see those things, right?
Yes.
And it's difficult, but I think I really try to find what's the balance between I'm going to be honest about what's happening, right? You don't want to ignore what's happening in society. You need to say, like, this is a real issue. But at the same time, is there a way to tell it in a way where it's more building up than it is, another tragic moment for Black people in Chicago? Do you know what I'm saying? And I think, and that's, we can't always find that balance every day, but it's something that I really strive for because I'm like, there's so much more happening in the world
Yeah.
than the trauma and tragedy. And it cannot be the only time you see, especially people of color,
Exactly.
you know, and that image and that visual, that can't be the only time
Right.
you see us on air like that.
Exactly.
So there needs to be joy, right? There needs to be a sense of hope. And I think when you focus on it and you're conscious of it, you know, words and images and what you use and how you tell it and how you frame it all become really important. Yeah.
Yep. So you went to undergrad,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
You majored in business.
I did.
For the first 3 years, but then you were like, I don't want to do this anymore. That journalism major looks super interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so your 4th year of college, you just decided, I'm going to make a pivot. Tell me about that.
Oh gosh, the pivot. What a big pivot in my life. Like, you want to talk about failure. I mean, I love how you phrased it on like, oh, you just woke up and chose something different. I wish it was that lovely. Yeah, I wish it was. It was not so much. It didn't feel like that. It was much more, you know, wow, we have failed. So what happened is, you know, my junior year, you know, I hurt both my wrists and playing tennis, and I couldn't play at the same level that I did, and I kind of found myself at a crossroads here, right? This is something that I did for close to 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a full-time job for me, right, since I was a kid, and it was the only thing I wanted. We're talking about that measure of success. That was success, right? Playing at the U.S. Open, playing at Wimbledon, winning an NCAA championship, that was success. That all very quickly was like, this is not going to happen for you, right? There was a mix of devastation, a loss of identity.
Yes.
I mean, I went through a whole crisis.
All
Like
the
it was
things.
terrible. It was terrible. You did not want to be around me at that time. You really did not. So my teammates were like, you know, you seem like you'd be good on camera, you know? And I said, okay, you know, it's something that I wanted to do. I used to act a little bit when I was little. And so I just walked over to the head of the Department of Journalism. I just walked into her office. Her name's Deb. She had bright red hair. And I knew that the journalism school had some kind of like student show programming, stuff like this, right? And so I said, all right, well, hey, Deb, you know, my name's Jazz, and I need you to let me skip the first 3 years of journalism because I'm an upperclassman. I can't take freshman classes.
Love that initiative.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, tell a department head at literally any university, hey, let me skip the first 3 years of your major. And let me just put me in the senior classes, right? So she looked at me exactly the way, you know, right? You're going to look at me now. And she was like, who are you? And then she said, all right, you seem pretty determined. Go do something to prove it. And I said, okay, well, I don't know anything about journalism, but I do know something about business. And so I tried to find the key to it, which was, what do all these students need? They need portfolio work. And so I put together a team of 25 students, acting school, music school, journalism, advertising, marketing, finance, and we put on a live 30-minute talk show. And so we sold tickets for like $2, gave it to charity. We had the marketing students marketing around campus, journalism students that help produce the show. You need to be a major to get the equipment, right? Equipment like this. Music students that did the beat, graphic animation students that did, you know, the setup and the design and the logos and all that stuff. And then advertising students that did like commercials, and acting students that did SNL skits. And I mean, I watched what I saw on TV, like Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Oprah and whatever. And I said, what do they do and why does this work? And we did that for about 10 weeks, an episode a week. And I came back and I said, hey, this is what I did. This is good enough. Can I get let into the class now? She's like, yeah, I'll let you in. Yeah.
Awesome. And then you went on to get a master's degree in journalism.
Yeah, I went to Northwestern, to get my master's in journalism.
You were very motivated.
Yeah.
When you graduated, your first professional opportunity, tell me about what that was and how it went.
Yeah, so the first, I would say in school while I was at Northwestern, ESPN at the time, and still is now, but they were really just beginning. They were really starting to put college tennis on TV. They were trying to find a way to do that. And so I somehow talked them into letting me do commentary and courtside, you know, interviews. And so I was actually doing that while I was flying back and forth to Orlando while I was at Northwestern. So I would say that was like the official first professional opportunity that I really had. But outside of that, once I graduated, Fort Myers, Florida was my very first market. I was there for a year. That was such an interesting. I say Florida's an interesting place. It really is. Like I would say there's just odd news that happens out of Florida.
Okay.
There's just different things that happen.
hilarious.
I mean, it's because it's transient, right? You got all different kinds of people that come in and out of the state, and so the things you cover, you know, are just kind of out of nowhere. And you're like, why is this happening? And they have that joke in the news of covering like a Florida person, right? No, shout out to Florida. No harm at all. But no, that was my first market. I ended up winning my first Emmy in that year, and then I spent 2 years in Cincinnati, about a year and a half in Indianapolis, and then I came over here to Chicago.
Okay.
Where I've been here about almost 3 years now.
Can you tell us what the first Emmy was for? What was the story about?
It was it was an investigative series that I did on the Department of Family Services, and so I basically followed a young girl who was in the services, in being watched over, and had a caseworker and everything. And I looked at her case for about 60 days, which is usually the time that it takes for a caseworker to respond to a case and see what's going on there and where the kid needs to be placed, and are they in a safe home and things like that, right? The issue that was happening in Florida, and still is, and I would say most states, but definitely in Florida, is that caseworkers were incredibly overwhelmed. It was very, very, very hard to manage. I mean, I talked to a caseworker that would have 75 cases at a time. That's 75 different families that you're talking about. And a lot of the requirement is in-person visits, and you're on a very strict timetable, and they do not get paid what they are worth for sure. And so I wanted to look at what is the process and what happens and where does it go wrong, and where is the system failing not only the kids and the families, but also the caseworkers themselves that need support in order to do their job on a high level. And so that was really the first Emmy. But I think it goes back to thinking about what the impact, right? And that young girl that I followed, and her case was overlooked at first. They took a look at it again. And, last time I checked, she's in a really safe, beautiful home,
That's
with
awesome.
an amazing family and doing really well. And that does not always happen for those kids. So it's a big
I
deal.
love that a common thread throughout your life is making an impact. You care about community. You care about people. So in the formation of Rise Society, before that, you brought a group of people together. You curated
An event,
an event. Can you tell us about that? Because I love that story very much.
I think it really began when, my dad passed away unexpectedly 4 years ago. And when he passed away, we started the Kevin Minor Legacy Fund, where we give scholarships to girls in tennis. And so we were doing that for the last 4 years, and that's been such an incredible blessing. And I think where I get the need to make an impact and give back, that was very much who my dad was. He worked very hard to make the sport more accessible, more affordable, and that was something that he did on the side. That wasn't his full-time job. He just felt the need to do it. And so I would say it was either June or July, I was at a Chicago Sky game, and I was sitting in, a friend's suite of mine, and I looked around at all the other suites, and I noticed all the other suites were very engaged in the game. Okay, they were really engaged in the game. This particular suite, though, everybody was sort of like inside, and they were talking to each other. And I just had this moment where I looked over and I said, I just know so many people that would kill for 15 minutes in this room. Like the amount of excellence in that room and success in that room and knowledge.
Yes.
It was immense. Just really smart, driven leaders of Chicago were in this one suite together. It was like 20 or 30 of them. And I just kept thinking to myself, gosh, can I create a way to give people that I know were doing amazing work who wouldn't have the the kind of access
Right.
into the room like this? Can I create that?
Yes.
And so that's where I really came up with the Rise Society, because I think about what I talked to you when it comes to girls in sports, where you think about the access and the opportunity that I had, the
Yes.
travel, the exposure, all those things, right, that helped develop, my entire life.
Right.
I think that thread is consistent from girls in sports to women in the global economy. I think there's room and a need for us to be able to have those kind of opportunities and have that access more than just we have to put on a suit and be the boss woman every day, right? A space where we can breathe and relax and know that we're supported and
Right.
whatever dream we're coming up with, that's not crazy. It's like, no, like let's work on that, right?
Yeah.
Let's shape it. Let's
Exactly.
collaborate. And so that really was what the Rise Society started out as. And I was like, I'm just going to create the space. And so I created this space at the time. Our first event was in the fall, and it was 85 amazing women. I would say 75% C-suite executive level, 25% not startups, but small businesses that I knew that were doing amazing groundwork. I vetted this list, this invite list, like no other. I mean, every single person on that list, for me, getting the invite or being in the room was, can I see throughout your career that you had made making an impact, giving back a priority? Could be inside your work or outside of it. It didn't matter to me, but it needed to be obvious. That was the threshold, right? Because I wanted every single person to already have that kind of mindset, that kind of character before they entered the room.
Right.
And so now when they got in the room, you were already automatically with people that were interested in hearing your idea, interested in welcoming it, interested in helping you develop it and guide you and support you.
Yeah. And understood the value
Right.
of the creativity of others.
Yeah.
And it takes a village, right? Somebody's got the access, somebody's got the money, somebody's got the idea.
Yeah.
Let's work together to make a difference on a larger scale.
Yeah. That was really the mission of the room. And the cherry on top was, hey, we're going to put this event together, and you can help us fundraise for the Kevin Minor Legacy Fund. And so that's what I told the women that night. I said, I see this as a partnership. I see this as when you come and you support the Kevin Minor Legacy Fund, in return, what I'm giving you is an incredible room to be in, where when you walk out, it's important for me that you felt loved, you felt welcomed, you felt a little spoiled, right?
Yes.
You're just a little, you know what I mean? Just a little cherished, right? In a way where you walked out where you really felt like you got something.
Right.
And that was important to me.
Yes, you created safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important to me in other ways. Like I have children, they went to boarding school. They're Black, they're African-American children, and I could see so many of these bright children come out of these wonderful boarding schools and then go on to great colleges. But then there's no, what's next? There's no safety net for them to feel free to create.
Yeah.
Like they can't always go to their parents for money for a startup.
Yeah.
So where can they go for that safety?
For that support.
Yeah, for the support.
And if you think about it, you put that in perspective of women too. I think every woman who is trying to do something new, innovative, something that maybe isn't there, or honestly, it doesn't even have to be new. It's something that they're passionate about,
Exactly.
right? Whatever it is. The truth is that I think there are certain barriers that are put up against us.
Yes.
And to the point where it almost creates environments, especially in corporate world, where there can only be a certain amount. Right. There can only be so many women in the boardroom. There can only be so many women at the table. Right. And what happens is then we kind of get against each other. Right. We feel like, okay, I got to show off.
Yeah.
I got, and that's where that boss lady attitude kind of comes in.
Right.
And I wanted to create a space where, look, everyone on the list, I already know you're a boss. You wouldn't be in this room if I didn't know that.
Exactly.
Right. I specifically invited you because I already know that. So now you can come here, you can breathe.
Yes.
You can breathe and you can share your ideas, and it's safe to share your ideas. And what you're going to get in return is a space where, you're not told you're crazy. You're not told it's dumb. You're not told, what the heck, why would you do that kind of thing? You're going to say, oh, I like how you're thinking. What about this? What about this? Or, hey, that's great. Let me support you. And so it's not. I don't think it's easy to curate that room, but it's something that I'm very much determined to do because I think there's very real value in it, and so we're gonna keep that event going in the fall. Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
I love that.
Please come.
Posted.
Yes,
Keep me posted. Yes. Okay, so you've got a gala coming up.
I
So
do. This is the Rise Society on steroids. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, yes. So in keeping with theme, our first event that was just women. I want to keep that event just women. The gala, men and women are welcome. I believe, my dad, he had 3 girls. Look, I believe male allies are important.
Absolutely.
If you want to build up girls in sports, if you want to build up women in business, we need men to get on board with that, right?
Yep.
We need men to welcome us into the room and help us build it up.
Yes.
And so I think that's important. And so this gala, we've got 200 guests coming. We've got Good Morning America's Robin Roberts will be there for a fireside chat.
Awesome.
It's structured in a way where it's heavy on networking. So I really allow room for that.
Okay.
That's something that we structured at our last event, even though it was sort of a smaller version of just 85 women in the room. But I wanted people to come and be dressed up and look cute and take pictures and network and have some fun and then be able to sit down and have an amazing program where they really got something out of it.
Yeah.
And so it's Wimbledon-inspired theme. And so, we've got a mood board, which is, structured outfits, and you think about suits, or I tell people if you really get stuck, ladies, like just put on a white cocktail dress, and just like it doesn't,
Exactly.
maybe put a little cardigan over it to make it more tennis theme and whatnot. But I think it's going to be just an incredible event. We've teamed up also with the Chicago Fashion Coalition, who will be doing a Wimbledon tennis themed fashion show.
Sweet.
So I'm really excited. I want people to play into the theme and just have fun with it.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited because, this is really building on our mission of the Kevin Minor Legacy Fund, giving scholarships to girls in tennis, but it's also part of our long-term goal of building a global women's sports empowerment fund. I truly believe that just based on my family's experience in sports and who we are as women, that we can be the bridge between girls in sports and women in the global economy. I think the latest study, it's 94% of senior female executives played sports early in life. There is a tie there.
Yes.
There you see a huge difference when you add sport into a young girl's life and who she ends up becoming as a woman, and her character and her confidence and her self-esteem and the way she can handle life's mountains, if you will, right?
Exactly.
And the hurdles that it comes with.
Exactly.
And so I think there's a real power there. And I want to be able to create that foundation and that formula that can be copied across the world so that we become the element in the program that helps build up every other organization in your mission, right? I think if you add in sports, your health is better. I think your education is better. I think your life is better. I think your community is better. I think it just elevates anything else that any other nonprofit around the world is trying to do. And truly, I believe that sport is one of the most underutilized tools in getting some of those missions done. And so I think when you put that in the hands and you hyper-focus it on, girls and women, I think something really beautiful can come out of it. And that's what we're trying to build.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how can people find Rise Society to either buy tickets to the gala?
Yeah.
Make
You can
donations?
definitely, we've got several different spots you can do it. Definitely Instagram, the Rise Society Co. On there. You can obviously follow me, Jasmine Minor. That link is right on there. For our Kevin Minor Legacy Fund, the minorlegacy.com. It's right up on there. So we've got it pretty much posted everywhere. But it's called the Rise Affair Gala. Even if you just Google it, you should be able to find it pretty easily. It's going to be May 28th, Thursday at 167 North Green in the West Loop from 6 to 10 p.m. And, like I said, we've got Robin Roberts from Good Morning America coming in. And there is truly no better woman in the world that I can think that can talk about women's sports right now. She was an athlete herself. She spent time at the Tennis Channel, worked at ESPN, and then, got the job at Good Morning America. And so she just has so much insight, both personally and professionally, and has been, an amazing mentor of mine as well. And so I'm really, really excited for that conversation. Yeah, we're going to talk about all this.
Okay, awesome. So I remember you mentioned you met Robin Roberts several years ago. So this is a really great example of how making a connection at one point in your life.
Yes.
You don't necessarily use it then, but you may use it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, you know, I'm a woman of faith, and God just brings everything full circle. I really, truly believe that. Even when we can't see it ourselves. You know, you want to talk about being in a position of failure. When I met Robin, I was a student at Northwestern and getting my master's in journalism. And, you know, while I was working towards something, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, most kids that I was in class with, I mean, they would tell me, yeah, I dreamed about being Oprah since I was 3, right? And I said, well, I thought about this yesterday, right? And here I am, right? And
yes, and I love that, but that's okay. We get to change our minds.
That we're allowed to change our minds.
Exactly.
You're allowed to pursue something you don't know anything about.
Exactly.
My thing is be a sponge. You know, never stop learning. Never be afraid to learn something new. Never be so prideful that you can't be humble enough to really take that critique and that feedback so that you can get better at something, right? And so here I am at Northwestern, and I mean, I really wanted to meet Robin Roberts. I really did. I somehow tracked her assistant producer down, or her secretary. I can't remember. It was somebody. And convinced her to say, like, hey, can she get 15-minute coffee? Like, I just need 15 minutes, right? That's all I need. I just want to meet her, right? And I flew myself out to New York, and, you know, I feel like I was just digging up change out of the couch just to find that, you know, find that flight or pay for that flight. And I slept on a friend's couch for 4 days. And even though we had a meeting set, I did it for 4 days just in case she had to cancel and like reschedule to the next day or something like that. And I told her I was just in town visiting family.
Yeah.
Kid you not. I was in town just for that 15-minute meeting. That's literally it. That's why I flew there. It was the only thing I was doing.
Yep.
And I remember when I first met her, and I was on set at GMA, and, you know, she said to me, she said, Jasmine, God's denial is not, she said, Jasmine, God's delay is not God's denial. That's what she said to me.
Yes.
And she signed what we call a rundown script in news, which just is like the whole show in a script form. And she signed it, and Michael Strahan signed it, and George Stephanopoulos signed it. And I still have that on my wall, you know, at ABC. And so I never forgot that. And 6 years later, you know, I said, hey, I'm working at ABC now in Chicago. What do you think? And she remembered me.
Yes.
And she was just kind enough to come out and be a part of this gala with us.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the women founders who are watching this interview, well, so many things I've gotten out of it. One, you can change your mind. You can come out on the other side of something traumatic and employ the skills. So you got a lot of skills from tennis that transferred into what you're doing now, that gave you the strength to know that I feel horrible now, but I can overcome this. I can move past and create something new. All of that. What types of, what do you have for the women founders today who are listening?
Embrace the failure. What I mean by that is it's very rare when you try something new, when you're building something, that you're going to get it perfectly right. You're just not. That's just not life.
Right.
Things change, circumstances change, financial situations change, the economy changes, right? Politics change. That is how life works. I think one of the key lessons that you know, we've talked about, that I think athletes in general do very well, especially athletes on a top level, the Serena Williams, the Kobe Bryants, right? You know, those type of people. They are not void of emotion, right? They are we are emotional creatures, athletes. We feel everything. We pour our heart and our soul every time, right? But you've seen it in multiple situations where someone's injured, or, you know, someone passes away that's close, and it changes your dynamic, it changes your life, it changes your financial situation, just things, life happens. And the ability to get back up again and still pour your heart and still care just as much and just as deeply, right? And my thing is that I don't think failure is something to be afraid of, instead of welcoming it, because that is what gets you to the success. That is what gets you on the mountaintop. It really is. It's those lessons in the process.
Yes.
And I think, and to be honest with you, I have failed more times than I have succeeded. Those 3 Emmys are great, but I've been nominated for 13. That's losses there, right? You know what I'm saying? Those are times where I didn't take the trophy home, and there are times where I did not get the job, where it did not work out, where, you know, my dad passed away. That was unexpected. You know, he was only 54, and he was very young, and he was a big part of all of our lives. And right, that's a situation I cannot change, no matter my work ethic, no matter my number of trophies, no matter how like, I cannot change that fact, right? But I have to know how to go on living, right? And so I think there is such a beauty in the failure, in the times when things don't really work out, because you see something different come out of you. You see a different level of impact, different measure of success, a different perspective on life. And you as a human being, you as a woman, you as a founder, therefore become better. And that's what I would say is embrace those moments. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean it is not, you don't feel all of it. I'm not saying that. I'm emotional. I feel like I am. I cry so much. Like, for as much as I do, I cry so much. That is how I release stress. I really do. But I get back up. Right? And I say I don't ever want to lose, you know, my heart and my compassion, because that is what makes every story, every win, every success, every scholarship we give, every gala, every event, that's what makes it special. It is the heart behind it. And so I think in every aspect of my life, anytime I really felt like, wow, this went totally left field. This was not this was not part of my plan at all. This was not it. Wasn't even close. And sometimes I've been able to fix it and save it. And other times I had to deal with the consequence and the circumstance that came with it afterwards. Right? But every single time, I would say, God kept me. And there was a door or a window that was opened that suddenly I was able to really appreciate the mountaintop more than I ever had. And so that's what I would say to all female founders out there.
No, I love that. And something that stood out for me is feel your feelings. So
why
not?
Why not? I know. I know we're so society.
Often,
it's always like, no, don't feel.
Down,
you're too emotional and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
You know what? How I can't go on and tell these stories or curate that room or give these scholarships without genuinely caring.
Yes.
It just doesn't work that way. You have to be invested. Your heart has to be there. Your mind has to be there. Otherwise, it just becomes so cut and dry. And then you realize you wake up and maybe you're successful, but you're also miserable. You know what I mean? Like, and so, and I when I look at female founders and I look at their work and I look at, I just covered a brand new nightgown, line that my friend had created. She talked about how the culture she wanted to bring into this line and the patterns and the fabric, right, were tied to her Indian culture that she experienced, when she was a kid. That's what makes it beautiful, right? It's a great product. It's amazing. It really is. I've tried one on. It's great. It really is incredible. But it's the heart and the story behind it that makes it special, that makes it stand out, that makes it unique.
Right.
So I don't want anybody to lose that. Yeah, feel it. Feel it all.
Yes.
And then get back up on that horse.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And get in that boardroom and show them who you are. That's what I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we use our feelings as information too. I tell people this. It's like, don't ignore them.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are just gut wrenching, because
Mm.
that informs
Yeah.
how you move next.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Trust your gut. Trusting your
yes,
gut.
love that, love that. And then, so when that's your way of kind of exploring my definition of success. Like, what does this need to look like for me to be at peace with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that measure of success, for me, it's, can I look myself in the mirror and know that I made the world a little bit of a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Might be one person. It might be myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? I made me better.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal at the end of the day. I can't tell you that I get it right every day. I don't. I really don't. There's some days where it's like, wow, Jazz, no, we didn't make it better. We might have made it worse. Oops. But the sun rises again.
Yes, we got
And
another chance
right,
tomorrow.
and as long as I'm breathing, that means I've got a chance to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's so much talent and so much power that women have that is, so beautiful. Anytime you see a woman in a high level position or, trying to do something new, it is something that is like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
like this is incredible, right?